What's going on, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and you are looking at what is soon to be a finished set here at Bourbon of the Week. We got some minor touches to make. We've got some lights to hang, some shelves to put in still, but from your perspective, it's just about done. Today, we have something very special for you. By the way, I like the standing. I feel like I get more animated like this. We have Barrell Craft Spirits Amburana finish and Tale of Two Islands. I'm excited to try these. These were sent to me by Barrell. Thank you, Barrell, as always, for taking care of me with these samples. So we're going to pour these up, and we're going to see which one we like. I will be honest with you. Amburana doesn't sound like it's going to be up my alley, but that being said, I am very excited about this Tale of Two Islands. Let's pour these up and let's talk about them. While I open these up, I want to give a huge shout out to Dave, my brother-in-law, for helping me build the bar, and a bigger shout out to Atlantis Tile and Marble. They are located in Norristown, Pennsylvania, and they did an amazing job with this granite countertop. I absolutely love it. It brought it together. It was the one thing that I wanted professionally done. But let's get into these. Everybody knows before we get started on all of that, time for the traditional sip, the first one from the new bar. Cheers, y'all. See, I'm gonna like that. So we're going to start over here. As always, Barrell Craft Spirits goes above and beyond by sending out exactly what's in their whiskey, which I absolutely love. Our Tale of Two Islands has Indiana bourbon with 5, 6, and 9-year-old whiskey in it. Maryland bourbon with 5 and 6-year-old whiskey in it. It's a blend of 73% corn, 23% rye, which leaves us with 4% malted barley. The Amburana, everybody's putting out an Amburana these days. It seems like a lot of cigar cuts, of cigar blends use the Amburana finish. This is Indiana bourbon whiskeys, 5, 6, 7, and 10-year-old. And then Kentucky bourbon whiskey, 5-year-old with 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. We haven't tried this one yet, so let's give this one a try. Maybe I will like this one. Our Amburana finish over here is coming in at 116.42, and our Tale of Two Islands is coming in at 118.22. Obviously, it's cask strength because it's coming from Barrell. This over here, I did not think I was going to like, but on the first sip, it definitely opens up into some flavor profiles that I do enjoy. We're going to go through the gauntlet though: price, taste, drinkability. Let's start with drinkability over here on the Amburana. Barrell is obviously known for their blending, so they do so well at blending out the ethanol. 116.42 on this, and you would not guess that at all. I'd put this maybe at like the 110 mark, so we're not like crazy off, but at the end of the day, still very good when it comes to drinkability. Let's take one more sip and we'll give it a score. Yeah, I mean, we give it an 8.0 if it drinks right at its proof. It definitely drinks a little bit under its proof. I'm going to go like an 8.36 when it comes to the drinkability on this one. Does have a little bit of an ethanol kick. You might think that's the 21% rye, but when we get into the taste profile on this, you're going to understand how well they blend out that ethanol on this. This one over here, though, let's get into drinkability on this one right now. I mean, this one is 2 proof points higher and probably drinks 3 to 5 proof points lower. This is absolutely fantastic. Again, you're talking Jamaican rum, so you're going to get a lot of sweetness. Then you get that peatiness. I feel like it's very, very minuscule in the back of the palate there. Maybe just because I think there should be peatiness. I'm picking up some peatiness, but this right here, absolutely delicious and absolutely fantastic when it comes to drinkability. There's definitely peatiness in this. I'm not making that up. It's definitely there on the palate. We'll get into that with taste, but 118.22 proof. I don't understand how they do this. I don't know how they get it to drink so easy for the proof. Maybe it's the finishes. Maybe it's the sample bottles. I talk about it all the time. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty damn good. I don't usually like to do side-by-side comparisons for my initial review because I've got something that's 116 proof versus something that's 118 proof. This one does drink a little bit hotter than this one, but both of them are so good, but I've got to compare the two because I am drinking them side-by-side. 118.22 proof, I would never guess it. Let's go. We've got to go above 8.36, so like an 8.57 when it comes to drinkability. And up next, as you know, we get into taste on this and they provide us with some tasting notes, which I always love. This says it's a veil through which one experiences the aromas of chocolate, walnut, toasted sourdough. The palate also has a narrative driven by cinnamon and spicy ginger beer with cameos from marmalade, tarragon, and I don't know that word, but we'll try it. Hefeweizen, maybe that's it. A healthy splash of water foregoes passion fruit, goldenrod, and honeycomb. I don't know about all that, but let's try this one more time and see what we get. The cinnamon and spice is definitely forward on this. You do get that chocolate in the back of the palate. The walnut is definitely there. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever had tarragon or marmalade, so I can't tell you if that's in this or not. The flavors are so well balanced. This is just what Barrell does. They take crazy flavor profiles, they mix them, they blend them together so well. None of them really outshine the other, and it just seems so easy, yet so complex all at the same time. It's kind of crazy what they can do. I said before I even drank this that I didn't think it was going to be my favorite, and here's the thing. You can have good whiskey that your palate just doesn't agree with. I think there's bad whiskey out there. I've tried bad whiskey. I'll tell you if I think that it's bad whiskey. This is not bad whiskey. As for the flavors though, they're just not my favorite. They're definitely all there. They're complex. Like I talked about, that chocolate, that walnut, that cinnamon, that spice, all comes together. There's a fruitiness. I don't know if marmalade is fruity or not, but there is a fruitiness to this, and it does seem to sit pretty well. It's just not my favorite when it comes to my particular palate, but at the end of the day, it's not bad whiskey. It does say passion fruit, which is obviously a fruit, but as for marmalade, tarragon, and Hefeweizen, I gotta expand my actual palate when it comes to food so I can figure out what I'm supposed to be tasting in my whiskey. Ridiculous. Again, not bad whiskey, just not my favorite when it comes to the flavor profile. I know a lot of people that would truly enjoy this flavor profile right here. I know Amburana finishes that do very well, and I think this is another one that does just that. It just doesn't happen to be my particular flavor profile when it comes to what I enjoy. So let's give this like a 7.24 when it comes to taste on this. But let's get over to this Tale of Two Islands, because this is the one that I'm actually excited about. By the way, since we're doing two today, we're going to skip the bourbon bomb of the week or my thoughts on what I've been thinking and just get right into the scores on these. This glass right over here, 118.22. Would have never guessed it. The flavor profile, a notch above just that. So before I got into whiskey, I will say I drank rum. And by drank rum, I mean took shots of Captain Morgan in college. And if I couldn't afford Captain Morgan, Admiral Nelson. That's my experience with rum. This Jamaican rum is probably anything better than I've experienced in my life. And they're finishing that in peated isle single malt barrels. And then they're putting the whiskey in this after all of that process goes on. So there are going to be a lot of flavor profiles. First of all, let me just tell you the legs on this. Absolutely beautiful. Gotta love that. Let's take another sip and see what we get. But first, what Barrell thinks we should get. This is a classic bourbon with notes of old-fashioned donut and coconut macaron. Over time, the bourbon slowly leached the brooding peatiness left behind in the barrel staves by smoky Isle whiskey. A splash of water unlocks wild tropical volatiles that are calling cards for Jamaica's ester-packed rums. Let's try this one more time, and I'll tell you what I think I get. The peatiness is there. I don't usually love peatiness, but it's so subtle that I think it does wonders for this particular glass right here. There's a thing about coconut, and let me tell you about this. People tell me, have you ever tried something that has coconut and you're like, oh, I don't really like coconut? And then they tell you something like, oh, you don't even taste it. It's just like a texture thing. You'll never actually truly taste the coconut in it. I always taste the coconut. You can't hide coconut. In this particular glass, they're not hiding the coconut. There is this very subtle coconut in this, and I actually like it in this as well because I'm expecting that Tale of Two Islands, right? That coconutty, that tropical flavor, and that's what they're doing here. And they're so well at, I mean, names are names. You're gonna name it after you make the whiskey, but this right here gives you exactly what you would expect in something called a Tale of Two Isles. Isles. I'm still thinking about Isle whiskey or Isle single malt. Now, I do believe there's a specific time with a specific place for a specific whiskey, right? We talk about rye being very good in the wintertime. You want that florally note for the summertime, something that's not too dense or heavy. This right here is exactly what I would want to take if I went on vacation down to an island. I promise you, if I ever went to Jamaica and I have a bottle of this, it's the first and only bottle that I would take with me because I feel like it would just complement the atmosphere so well. And that's something that's been different for me. It's more of an experience when it comes to whiskey, especially when you're talking about finishes like this. This right here, one more sip and then we'll give it a score. See, I just love this glass right here. It's something different. It's something new. It's not your everyday bourbon. I don't know if I would drink this as an everyday bourbon, but at the end of the day, the flavor profile is fantastic. I'm going to go like an 8.84 when it comes to taste on this. You know, I always like one better when I finish that particular glass before I finish the other one. Now, these are pretty evenly poured, so this is definitely the better of the two for my particular palate. They're wildly different though, so if you have an opportunity to try them maybe at a bar or something, I recommend picking them up both because Barrell just does such a good job with their whiskey that I think maybe you will like this one. It's just not for me, but they're both coming in at $89.99. Now we have something that's pretty good on drinkability and something that's great on drinkability, something for my particular palate that's pretty good with taste and something that's great on taste. So obviously this is going to get a better score when it comes to price over this one over here, but let's think about it. 90 bucks doesn't seem outlandish to me, especially for a finished whiskey. This I feel like would be more expensive, but then again, I don't know much about how much barrels cost. So let's try these out one more time. By the way, it's my first time shooting on this set, so if the audio is off or the lighting is off, we will fix things as we move forward, so I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of leeway when it comes to this particular video. First time shooting on the new set. This glass right here, $90, doesn't seem outlandish. To be honest with you, they basically price everything in that $90 range, so I will say I'd like it better at $75, but it is a finished whiskey. It does have, what, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 5-year-old whiskey from Kentucky in it. It's a perfect mash bill, just not my favorite when it comes to an Amburana finish. So let's take one more sip. So we always give it a 7.0 if it's average taste, average drinkability, and it costs about 50 bucks. This is above average when it comes to drinkability. It's a little bit above average when it comes to taste, but it's above average when it comes to price as well. So let's give this like right above a 7. Let's go like a 7.13 when it comes to price on this. And this glass I already finished, and we're going to take it easy tonight. So I will tell you at $80, this was above average when it comes to drinkability. It's above average when it comes to taste, which means it's going to be above average when it comes to price at $50. This is above average at $90, but I don't hate it. I think this glass right here is very unique. It's something that reminds me of that Barrell Seagrass. Barrell Seagrass was one of those that I've absolutely loved ever since I tried it. It was a rye, it was finished in so many different things, and I feel like this right here is giving me a little bit of everything that I can love. And at $90, I will promise you that if I see this on the shelves, I will pick up a bottle at 90 bucks. Let's go like an 8.46 when it comes to price on this. So here we go. We're going to skip my thoughts on what I've been thinking and this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week, but drum roll please, the Amburana came in at a 7.56. Again, I think you would like this a lot more if you like that Amburana finish. It's just not for me. That being said, Tale of Two Islands came in at an 8.62, which cracks our top 5 here in 2023. This glass right here is phenomenal. If you have an opportunity, I definitely recommend you pick up this bottle right here. But hey, that's going to wrap up our video on our first ever Bourbon of the Week, coming to you live from the new set. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Click that like and subscribe button. If you haven't already, follow us over on Instagram. We're over 10K and we're trying to get to 25 next. Make sure you check out our Patreon page and our Discord. Both those links in the description below. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy. Stay drinking stuff from Jamaica, I can promise you that. Cheers, y'all. Amburana ain't bad though.